Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is actually a very interesting top 10 list. So today we are going to be counting down the top 10 rivalries in the championship going into this season. So as the fixtures are going to be released this week for the championship, I thought it would be very interesting to count down the top 10 rivalries in the championship going into this season, so you guys know which fixtures to look out for. So for a team to be involved on this list, both of the teams taking part in the rivalry need to be currently playing in the championship. So for example, that excludes teams like Preston against Blackpool, or Leeds against Man United, or I don't know, Newcastle against Sunderland or anything like that, because obviously one of them isn't playing in the championship. So what I'd love to know from you guys is, in your opinion, what is the biggest championship rivalry currently in the championship? Let me know down below, and let me know if you agree with my top 10 list. Also, what I'd love to know from you guys is, who do you consider to be your club's biggest rivals, and what is your favourite Derby Day memory? I'd be very interested to know about that one, because I feel like there could be some interesting stories about Derby Days in the past. So let me know down below what you guys think of that. I'll be very interested to know. But enough of me rambling on, let's get into this top 10 list. So coming in at number 10 in our list, guys, we do have a Yorkshire derby taking place, that one being Leeds against Sheffield Wednesday. Now, what I'd actually be quite interested to know about this one is, Leeds fans, let me know down below, who do you consider to be your biggest Yorkshire rivals in the championship? Making it into the list for this one, I decided to include Sheffield Wednesday. We will see Sheffield Wednesday pop up later on the list as well, but with Leeds, they're quite a funny side actually, because most of their main rivals aren't really in the championship at the moment. I mean, I'm pretty sure Leeds would consider Manchester United to be their main rivals, of course, them being in the Premier League. So I'd be interested to know about that one. But tensions do run very high between these two clubs on Derby Day, it has to be said. Their last meeting, Leeds managed to walk away with the 1-0 victory over Sheffield Wednesday. And interestingly enough, Leeds actually have the better record over them, as Leeds have won 38 of their last encounters, whereas Sheffield Wednesday have only won 31. Then coming in at number 9 on our list for championship rivalries, I'm actually going to group all of these ones together. I'm going to group together the West London Derby. So the teams taking place in the West London Derbies, we have Brentford, QPR and Fulham. The reason I decided to group them all together is because I wanted to include quite a few derbies in this list and quite a few rivalries, so I thought I'd group these together because they are actually very interesting games when they do go ahead and take place. So what I would love to know from Brentford, QPR and Fulham fans is, in the championship, who do you consider to be your biggest rivals? Let me know down below, because all three teams at the moment are teams which could be in store for interesting seasons next year. I mean, I've already tipped that I fancy Brentford to maybe get the playoffs. Fulham, of course, have a very strong squad as well, and Ian Holloway is quite unpredictable at QPR, I think it's fair to say. Then coming in at number 8 on our list, guys, we do have Bristol City against Cardiff. These two rivals, what's actually quite interesting about these two rivals is obviously they're both located in a different country, which sort of adds to the tension on Derby Day between these two teams, of course. It's sort of like a watered down version of England versus Wales in that aspect, but in their last meeting we actually saw a very entertaining game as Cardiff managed to win by 3-2 at Ashton Gate. But talking about the records, Bristol City had the superior record as they have won 36 of their last encounters, whereas Cardiff have only won 33. Next up on our list, guys, we do have another Yorkshire derby. This time it is the one between Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday. A very interesting derby which last season really got feisty at times, and actually provoked some pretty decent games last season between Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday. Their last encounter did finish 1-1 between the two sides, and of course the controversial thing coming from these two matches was Sam Winnall did score for Sheffield Wednesday against his former club, and that really caused some discontent with the Barnsley fans. Of course, Sam Winnall definitely not being a player they like anymore for that reason, you know, moving on to Sheffield Wednesday and then choosing to celebrate in front of the Barnsley fans as well to make it even more controversial. But talking about their head-to-head record, Sheffield Wednesday do have the better record with 35 wins. There's been 14 draws, and Barnsley have only won 22 games in their history against Wednesday. And then next up on our list, guys, in at number 6 we have Sunderland against Middlesbrough. So this is actually a very interesting rivalry, of course. Both these sides have just been relegated from the Premier League. So I'll be interested now, actually, who do you think will do better going into next season? Will it be Sunderland or will it be Middlesbrough? If I had to put my money on it at the moment, I'd probably be back in Middlesbrough. They look a lot more stable than Sunderland do at this point in time. But a rivalry nonetheless, which I'm looking forward to seeing how these two sides do come up against each other. It's a northeast derby where tensions can run very high on Derby Day, and in their last meeting between these two sides, Middlesbrough walked away with the 1-0 victory. But talking about their past records, it's Sunderland who actually had the better record with 61 wins over Middlesbrough. And now, guys, this is where the list gets really feisty. So coming into our list at number 5, we have Wolves against Birmingham. It can be electric at this time, this derby, but interestingly enough, probably not the biggest rivalry in terms that Wolves had, or the biggest rivalry that Birmingham have either. In my experience, it would seem that Wolves' biggest rivalry would be against West Brom and Birmingham's would be against Aston Villa. But don't let that distract you from what a good game this could actually turn out to be, because I think it's fair to say both these sets of fans aren't really best of friends with each other. But when it is Derby Day between Wolves and Birmingham, it can throw out some absolute crackers of games. In their last encounter, we saw Birmingham leave Wolves with the 2-1 victory, but earlier on in the season, we saw Wolves beat Birmingham, so it is quite a back and forth thing. However, talking about the history between these two sides, it is Wolves who have the better record, as in their history, Wolves have won 65 games against Birmingham, whereas Birmingham, they've only won 41. And now, guys, we move on into the top 4. So coming in at number 4, it is going to be the East Anglian derby between Norwich and Ipswich Town. I'm sure there'll be quite a few people who would argue that this is the biggest rivalry going on in the Championship, and over the past few years, it has flew out some absolute crackers in this one. Most notably was in the playoff semi-final in the 2014/15 season between Norwich and Ipswich. Of course, in the end, Norwich walked away victorious from that one with a 4-2 victory on aggregate over Ipswich. They obviously then went on to get promoted to the Premier League. But in terms of their last meeting, we saw Norwich draw twice with Ipswich last season, which there's a very similar record in this derby. Norwich have won 40 of them, they've drawn 20 of them, and Ipswich have won 41. So definitely a game to keep your eye on next season. And then this is where it gets really interesting. Coming in at number 3 on the list, guys, it is going to be Derby County versus Nottingham Forest. Definitely two sets of fans who really do not like each other, and this game actually once again can throw out some absolute crackers, and has done over the past few seasons, of course. Their last meeting between these two teams ended as a 2-2 draw at the City Ground, and it really does mean everything football in this part of the region. And for the bragging rights to go to either Derby or Nottingham Forest, let me know down below, guys, who do you think is going to have the better season next year? Will it be Derby or will it be Forest? Leave a comment down below. And then, guys, coming into our list and just missing out on the top spot, in at number 2, it is going to be the Steel City derby going on between Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. These two giants, I'm really interested to see what these two sides actually do next season in the Championship, of course. It has been quite a while since these two have actually played each other. Their last encounter was all the way back in 2012 when both these two sides were in League One. In that game, interestingly enough, Sheffield Wednesday managed to leave with a 1-0 victory over United, and their records are very similar. Sheffield United have won 48 games, Sheffield Wednesday have won 48 games, and they've drawn 44 of them. So really there is nothing to split these two sides in terms of head-to-head records. And talking about past encounters, we've seen a lot of scraps and brawls break out in these games in the past, and now it's going to be taking place in the Championship where the stakes are even higher than in League One. We could see some absolute crackers of football matches. And then coming in at number 1, guys, for my top rivalry to look out for next season in the Championship, it is going to be Aston Villa against Birmingham, also known as the Second City Derby. I mean, this one can really be absolutely ferocious at times, and is definitely up there in terms of English derbies. Their last meeting between these two pairs, Aston Villa managed to leave victorious with the 1-0 victory over Birmingham. It wasn't the best in terms of the actual spectacle in terms of the game, but the atmosphere at Villa Park was absolutely electric, and when Gabby Agbonlahor managed to grab that winner, it really went off there. So Birmingham, of course, will be looking to avenge that next season. Out of the head-to-head records, interestingly enough, Aston Villa do have have the superior record with 54 wins compared to Birmingham's 38 on Derby Day. What I'd also love to know from you guys, talking about all of this list, is on Derby Day, what stadium do you think has the best atmosphere? Let me know down below, because out of some of these stadiums and atmospheres we've seen on here, they can be crazy at times. So there you have it, guys. That will wrap it up for this top 10 list. So I'll be very interested to know, first of all, do you agree with my top 10 list, or have I missed a derby out that you think, you know what, I think that's going to be a massive derby game taking place next season? Let me know down below, guys. I'm always very interested to hear what you guys have to say. But apart from that, that will now wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for regular championship content. As well, drop me a follow on Twitter, as I always tweet before I upload a video. Therefore, you'll never miss a video ever again, guys. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.